MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Gold. This is what we doing while we do it, baby. We rollin'!
Covering MMA from all over the world, this is the premier stop for all your combat sports needs. MMA Junkie Radio, the only show broadcasting live from the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. The lights are on and the mics are hot. It's time to get your MMA fix, junkies. Take it away, Big John.
Gorgeous George and Goes, are you ready? Junkie Nation, are you ready? Well, let's get it on.
From the fight capital of the world, inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, you're listening to the MMA Junkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the devious and dastardly Goes, our East Coast, our East Coast. What are you? Our East Coast. Sorry, I got caught up there in that slam
Hollywood?
dunk. Yeah. Becky's handling the show, producing. She's gabulous. That's all I know. What's up, guys?
What up?
Hi, guys.
What up? Goes, I like this, man. I like this setup here.
Like it?
If you guys hadn't hit 8 home runs, though, would all this be up here, or was it something special about today's opening day?
You have no idea what I went through to make the setup look like this today.
Yeah?
Seems pretty easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cracker Jacks and see these little metal things?
Yeah.
What I was looking for was those old school stands that you would put a picture. Yeah.
Grandma
that kids would use as a plane when you're playing, or a gun or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
I could not. I went to about 10 stores. Couldn't find it. Walked everywhere and finally found this at the last store I went to, which was the dollar store.
Okay. It works. It's real nice. Today is opening day for baseball. In fact, we're going to be talking a little bit of baseball at 8:40 p.m. Eastern, 5:40 p.m. Pacific. And we also have a MMA fighter as well, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Now, who are we going to be talking to, George? All right, Howard Bender will be our baseball guru, and Tyron Woodley will be our MMA guy. So can't wait to do that. Now, we want you to always know that you can connect with the show by calling in 877-FIGHT-93, 877-344-4893. You can tweet us at MMA on SiriusXM, or myself and Goes. We're available at MMA Junkie George, at the Goes, respectively. Now I'm chomping at the bit here, Goes, because as I was driving in, I caught our friends RJ and AJ from MMA Tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you caught this or not. You had to have. But if you didn't, I'll tell you what happened. They were talking to Josh Towers, who used to play baseball. He was a pitcher. And somehow they got into baseball fights, right?
Yeah.
Josh Towers has never been in one. Well, he's been in one, but it never started because he beaned somebody from the pitcher's mound.
Okay.
So then next thing you know, he said, hey, the conversation just morphed into, like, where do baseball players rank when it comes to fighting, aside from combat sports athletes.
Okay.
And he said somewhere in the middle is what Josh said. So I said, okay, yeah, that sounds about right. I won't argue that, you know. Aside
from combat sports.
So you can't. So we're an MMA show. They're an MMA show. So I think they're saying no MMA, no wrestling, no boxing, no pro wrestling, no Muay Thai, none of that.
Yeah.
Like anything with
basketball,
a stick
hockey,
and a ball or
football, all
something.
that.
Correct.
Football's the worst.
You would think.
It's the worst.
You got to.
They're wearing armor.
Well, no. But who would be the best fighters? Which athletes from which sport?
Hockey.
Oh, then we got a problem too.
Why?
Because I think football.
Professional football?
Professional football.
No.
Yeah.
Their fights are the worst.
Well, they are, but I'm saying like, which athlete, take off everything they're wearing and put them into an octagon.
Oh, and make them fight?
Yeah.
I
know them big old hockey goons are about 6'4". I know they're big dudes, 6'3", 6'4". They can punch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's some tough dudes. Steve Bossy, he fought in mixed martial arts or whatever. But I'm telling you, there's some really, really good athletes in all positions, minus the punter and the kicker, that would do very well in combat sports if you trained them at a younger age. You know, you can't just say, "Hey, stop playing. You're 33 years old. Stop playing and come over here." But Herschel Walker did. But you know what I mean? For the most part, I just feel like the MMA. Think about it, man. Those guys hit each other all the time. They're very, very athletic, and so I thought that's your slam dunk number one, right? Hockey would probably be my number two. Baseball and basketball is pretty close. I mean, don't forget, man, a basketball player, like a good-sized power forward, he could be like 6'8", 6'9". Well, Barkley's about 6'4", but he's a thick dude. But them dudes are big, man. All right? And so are some baseball players, but they're not that big. Now, some baseball players are thicker, but regardless, that's not my point. You know what R.J. Clifford said, Goes?
What did he say?
And I know Gabby heard it, too. I can't believe she didn't interject because she was producing that show. I can't believe you didn't start texting Gabby saying, get me on, I got it. I wanted to call in, except I was driving and I didn't want to fumble the phone, but I was just, steam was coming out of my ears. R.J. Clifford said, well, number one is rodeo.
Huh?
Exactly. They were bashing soccer, which, okay, I'm a soccer guy, but I'll take that one on the chin. I realize those athletes aren't really fighters. I mean, they'll go in there,
they're not bad.
They'll kick you and stuff like that, but we're not really going to grab a Lionel Messi and put him in the octagon.
Right.
So that's fine. That was humor. I'm fine with it. I love those guys. Those guys are good on our channel. Happy to call them colleagues. But then he says rodeo, and I'm like, okay, so rodeo's a sport, but soccer isn't. All right, we'll let that one pass. But where rodeo? Why rodeo? I've seen rodeo on TV. I've never seen them and thought, I think they're brave, but I don't think that transfers into making
bar fights.
I mean, aside from the one that happens to fight in the UFC, what other rodeo guy that have you known that's that tough? Oh my God! That where a football player would go, that's a rodeo guy. Run out of the bar. We don't want any problems.
Maybe the clowns.
Maybe
I'd take the clown over the actual bullfighter.
At that moment, I pictured those two looking like clowns, AJ and RJ. And here's the worst. Goes the worst.
AJ co-signed on rodeo?
That's the worst part. So he went rodeo, and then he goes number 2 hockey, and then he goes football number 3, and I go, oh, AJ's gonna light him up. You know what AJ said?
What'd he say?
He goes, all right, and that was it. He just accepted it.
Wow, he must have been doing something else.
Okay. He had to have been. He had to have just missed it. I thought for sure AJ was gonna let RJ have it. And I thought they were gonna privately text Gabby and say, we need 15 minutes of junkie because we're gonna go head on right now. We're gonna battle. And I thought AJ was gonna take up 10 of those minutes, just lighting RJ up. Then RJ would fight back, and then they'd shake hands, and then we'd start 15 minutes later. But I thought for sure, oh boy, I got plenty of time to get to the studio.
What was his reasoning though?
He didn't have any.
It's just cool.
He just said it, and RJ accepted it. I can't think of. The only thing I can think of is, okay, RJ is Pete Carroll.
Okay.
AJ is Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Do you remember when Pete Carroll said, it's 4th and 1, we got plenty of time, we got all our timeouts, pass it against the Patriots? And Russell Wilson got the signals, and he goes, okay, you heard the coach, we're going to pass it on 1. Break. That was probably one of the dumbest things I've ever seen in the history of watching sports. When you got a wrecking ball named Marshawn Lynch standing back there, and you can hand it to him 4 times, and all he's got to get is 1 yard. And he knows how to sniff out that goal line. That's not a drug joke. That's just that guy knows how to score joke. Right? So what should have happened is, A, RJ shouldn't have called a pass, so that's him saying rodeo.
Okay.
And B, let's just say RJ did. AJ should have said, coach is tripping. We're running it. You know what I mean? And ran the ball and won the Super Bowl. He didn't. He just accepted it and allowed that to happen.
He's running tough Bronco on defense as well.
I don't know.
Is George tripping?
I couldn't believe it.
Did it really go down that way?
It was much quicker than George was saying, I think. I was surprised he didn't stand up for himself, but they're friends, so I feel like he just let him talk out of his butt.
Friends light each other up all the time, though.
But did you spit whatever was in your mouth? Did you spit it out?
It's got to be. These two if she was drinking the tea, she spit it all over.
Yeah, I do that most of the time.
Okay.
On this channel, a lot of guys. Sometimes with you guys, I don't know what's going on, but
check it out. Even if I accepted hockey, do you accept rodeo?
Well, you're gonna let her talk about you and Dan like that, first of all. But all right, yeah, rodeo would never come out of my mouth. I wouldn't even think about rodeo.
Me neither. Does he have a stake in a rodeo guy or something like that, or does he own part owner of a bull? Why rodeo?
I don't know. Maybe he got jumped by a bunch of guys wearing flannel or something.
I don't know. I just don't hear many street fights involving rodeo guys.
See, I like the
I don't hear many street fights that say, I heard the other day. I don't go on Twitter or Facebook, and when a fight breaks out, I don't say, Well, okay, that's the rodeo guy right there, the guy kicking the ass. I don't say that. I don't think that. It's not even within my hemisphere, my universe.
I like the topic more of which fights are entertaining, like in their sport. When they break away from being football players or hockey players or baseball players.
Although
baseball's fun though,
Australian rules. Oh, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
That's kind of fun too. But for every like 10 brawls, you get like 2.
Watch Australian rules, not rugby, but watch Australian rules. They run at each other, and they kick each other and blindside each other, and they're very athletic. And I've seen some good ones. Like if you can get a compilation, you'll really, really like it. Anyway, all right, I'm glad I got that off my chest, man.
Rodeo.
What I should have done was just call in, but they had the segment coming up with what would AJ do? And I wanted to hear that.
With RJ? Is that what that was?
But yeah, apparently, yeah. But no, it had to do with Jimmy Smith and that burrito. We'll see if we can circle back and discuss that.
That one hurt me. That one cut me deep. I'm a big Chipotle fan.
I know. Yeah, I don't know how that could have happened. I didn't get to hear the whole segment because then I had to use some of the time to get up here. But anyway, much love to those guys. I catch them every Thursday coming in. I catch RJ and Dan. Dan's a great addition as well. So, but, you know, you're not always going to agree, right? No. And that one didn't sit right, man. Did not sit right. I mean, think about like Indomitius Sue, how mean he is, right? 2 guys are coming at you, you know, and they say you got to fight one of us. Are you fighting Indomitius Sue? Or are you fighting the rodeo guy?
Give me the rodeo guy.
Easily, right?
Yeah.
and AJ,
I think I'd fight Indomitius Rex before I'd fight Sue.
And then AJ is a linebacker at Ohio State, and then the Packers. I mean, imagine how good and athletic and how strong he is, and you know he had to have had, I mean, a lot of a tough upbringing. You know what I mean? To be recruited by Ohio State, play for 8-9 years, be a Super Bowl champion. You just let it go, no problem.
In the rodeo, though, in the ring or whatever the hell they call it, they're not even the toughest guy out there. It's the bull, right? That'd be like the referees being tougher than the players. That just doesn't make sense. They're not even the toughest guy there.
They're not that big. At least most rodeo guys I've seen here at Mandalay Bay here in Vegas. Are you a rodeo guy? Why do you keep pointing at yourself? Oh, okay.
He likes rodeo.
When I've seen them here at Mandalay Bay, they're not that big.
I hate the rodeo, by the way.
Why?
Because they always would have it at UNLV, and when they would have it, they would cut off half of the parking, so you couldn't find a parking spot. And my classes were always at night, and there was always shit everywhere. And you had to walk around. I stepped in shit.
Like literally shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bullshit everywhere.
Oh, you're bullshit.
No. You know what I mean. Horses, bulls, whatever.
Gotcha.
2 times. Ask Jenny, I would actually pack an extra pair of shoes just in case. Because it was everywhere, and you couldn't see it.
Damn, was that bad? Dude, like on campus?
Ask anybody that went to UNLV and ask them
more in the parking lot, I guess?
Yeah, the parking lot. Right. Yeah, not on campus. What do you think, they're taking bulls through the student union?
Well, I don't know. I didn't think about it, yeah. All right. So, listen, shout out to the Dodgers. I haven't even seen if the Angels have played yet, but that was impressive. 8 home runs, right?
Back to back to back.
12-4, I think they won, right?
5, I think.
That's one hell of a stuff. 5. 8-4. Oh, 8-5. Sorry, 12-5.
I think they scored 5 at the end.
Okay.
They had 2 for a long time, and I think they ended up with 5.
Let's catch up on a little bit of news that we discussed yesterday, and I know some of you maybe just don't get it every day. Shame on you. But yesterday, Jon Jones was signed to fight Thiago Santos at UFC 239 here in Las Vegas. That takes place on July 6th, and it's International Fight Week. So it's pretty much the biggest eventful week that the UFC plans out. I'm not saying it's the most stacked card or it's the most lucrative pay-per-view. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's the biggest highlighted week for the Ultimate Fighting Championship, based in Vegas. It takes place in Vegas, and it's preceded by usually a tough finale. So we have back-to-back nights. Hell, one year they did 3 fight events.
Oh, it was the worst.
And
everybody was dead by that last event.
They were. I agree. And they also do the Hall of Fame and then the UFC Fan Expo, and it's just, you know, a lot of pre- and post-fight activities involving a lot of their major stars up and down the strips. The one that aren't fighting, there's pool parties and things like that. So it's going to be a big week, and that's your headliner bout. I just don't see that one being topped. Also signed for that particular card is Jones's Jackson Wink teammate, Holly Holm. She'll be challenging Amanda Nunes for her bantamweight title. A whole other conversation can be had just from, does Holly deserve that? Because I think she's 5-4 in her last 9. But she hasn't won a bantamweight bout in almost 2 years. It was June of 2017 when she beat Betch Correia out in Singapore. After that, she was doing that dabbling with the featherweights. Now, granted, I think she was being a little bit of a company woman in doing some of that. But, I mean, she was trying to acquire a belt, and she was just unsuccessful. But, there wasn't this rise through the bantamweight ranks. I think last I heard, Ketlin Vera is hurt. I think she's the most deserving, personally. And remember, Holly was going to fight Aspen Ladd. That fight fell apart. I would have liked for her if she had gotten past Ladd. All right, former champ, marketable, division's kind of bare. Sure, let's do this.
Forward. She always gives her opponents good fights.
Right, exactly. And then had Aspen Ladd won, who knows? Maybe that could have been Aspen springboarding, over Ketlin. I don't know. But this is what we're left with in a division that just doesn't have much. Which, by the way, we could just start a 165 conversation all over again with what the stuff Dana White says about divisions and tearing them up, and I don't want to do that. You have.
I just don't understand that.
I know, but I don't want to go down that road. So the trickle effect from that was, in case you saw any rumors, Stipe and Jones, it sounded like when you see guys tweeting at each other, it sounded like it was warm. It was lukewarm, the idea, and that something might go down. I was expecting to hear that would happen, and then I was expecting to hear DC and Brock on the same card. That would be the insurance. But instead, Jones signed on to fight Thiago Marreta Santos, and that's fine. Miocic is kind of just left out, though.
What happens with him?
I don't know. Here's another fight that's been left out. Robbie Lawler and Tyron Woodley are, I'm going to say now, rumored to fight in Minneapolis on June 29th at UFC on ESPN4. Why do I say that when yesterday I was saying they're fighting? Because our guest, Tyron, he kind of implied to me that that's not like 100% done. Like maybe ink isn't dry. Or maybe he has just yet to technically sign it. I don't know, but I said, hey, look, we'd still love to have you on. Like I told Tyron, we can just talk about your favorite cereal, and it'd be a great interview because he's done so much in the sport. And, he took a hard loss recently after a really good title run. So I wanted to catch up there, and then who knows? Maybe in the last few hours it has become official. I don't know. But, our writers and our editors usually don't go to bat unless they've confirmed with multiple sources or they're actually basically putting up a story that's been confirmed by another credible site. So I'm imagining that's going to happen. But, again, back to left out, that leaves Ben Askren out. Happily. Because Ben Askren didn't want to fight Robbie Lawler again. He says, I just did that. You know what I mean? Now, who else might be left out? I'm hearing Masvidal might be fighting Askren, which would leave Edwards out. And Edwards is chirping on Twitter. And that fight makes sense because they got that heat going on.
It would leave him out of that situation, right?
Right.
But you can always find Leon Edwards.
Yeah, you can give him Ponzinibbio or somebody.
But it just seems so set. It's like they matched themselves that night. It's like they made the decision to make that a fight. But Masvidal, oh, man. Yeah, it would leave a little bit of an unfinished business feel if that fight didn't happen. And I think he knew that. The second he walked over there, that he signed on the dotted line for me.
The other one that's out there, that's floating out there, is Neil Magny and Zaleski dos Santos. There looked to be a fight that was signed there. And when I was reading on social media was that might not be final just yet. It may actually be Magny versus Chiesa. So who's left out there is Dos Santos. So notice how a lot of welterweights are being matched up or being left out, but there's plenty enough to be left out that we can just create new matchups out of them. But I'm just trying to restore order here.
Dude, when you're going through all those names, all I can keep thinking about, and I kind of hate bringing this up just because it doesn't seem like we'll ever go that route.
The tournament?
Tournaments, dude. Don't those sound fun?
They do.
Just stagger them.
They do, but Bellator's taking a little longer than, right?
Yeah, I guess.
I think it's awesome when you have a press conference and say, what's today, March 29th? 28th. On tomorrow's a Friday. In Las Vegas, we're going to have 8 welterweights. 10. 8 and 2 subs. And we're kicking off on May 28th. And we're going to have all of them fighting on the same card. You know what I mean? And so right away, you say the semifinals are in August. And maybe the finals are in November or December. But like Bellator has staggered theirs over 18 months, and to the point where like there was a point when Bader was fighting like Mitrione. I was like, okay, who does he get? Like the last semifinal was 2 months earlier. Threw me off a little bit. I like it when it's a little bit more staggered and on the same timeline.
Well, the last time they did something like that was flyweights, right?
Who?
The
UFC? Yeah,
the four-man thing. I would like to see it come back. I think it'd be fun.
Dana seems to be against it,
maybe
just as much as
era.
he's against 165 and some of the other things he stood firm on.
165 to me, you can always say this. Well, yeah, he said that about women's MMA and he came around.
I know.
But this particular stance that he has almost leads me to believe that he's just going to be stubborn about it. Even if he feels like it's the right decision, I think he's gone so deep on it that he's just not going to change it.
And the thing is, he says, all the goofs out there want me to change it. Well, guess what? That must be the other 6.5 billion you share the planet with. Because everyone fucking wants 165. Not just like George, Shango, and Goes, or Goes and Gabby and RJ, or the waitresses out here, or everyone that's in Mandalay Bay right now, or everyone that's going to be in the Philly Arena on Saturday. No, I'm talking about everybody wants it. I don't think I've heard one other person other than Dana White go, I don't like it. No, wait, I did.
AJ kind of agreed with it a little bit.
AJ Hawk?
Yeah.
It may have been RJ, actually. I heard it about a week ago. But maybe it was AJ. I don't know. I haven't heard decent arguments for being against it. And yeah. No, I'm pretty sure everyone's... Dana might have like a buddy or two. They might be able to get a starting five in a basketball league if he's lucky. They probably have to borrow one of the guys from the other team. You know, when you show up with four and you go, hey, we're either forfeiting or you give us a guy, and you got to give them one of their jerseys. And you'd have to get a jersey from someone else on the other team, and then they'd have their starting five. Anyway, so there's a little bit of an update there on what's going on. Actually, there's one more. There's one more, if I may. So Jose Aldo's still waiting for doctor clearance. He had a incident where he had to go to the hospital, a bacterial infection. And I've heard, like, yes, no type of reports. On and off, where he should be ready to go, he may not be ready to go. No, it looks like he's going to go. You know, there's a chance he may not go. He's going. There's still a slight chance he may not go. Like, opposite types of reports. Look, the guy's in incredible shape. I imagine he has a strong immune system, and he loves to fight in Brazil. Imagine if he doesn't fight here. So what I'm getting at is like a 90% Aldo, I think, would still show. If he doesn't fight here, I don't know that there's another Brazil card lined up. Now he's fighting outside of Brazil. He really wants to fight in Brazil, right? So I expect him to fight, unless it's really that bad. And look, if he's not ready, he's not ready. I'm not forcing him to. I'm just saying my gut tells me that. It's, again, March 28th. That fight's not even happening until May 11th, I believe. That's literally like 6 solid weeks. Now, he better be 100% because Alex Volkanovski is no joke. However, Renato Moicano has already stated he'll step in for Aldo if Aldo can't go. Which, again, goes back to Aldo may be left out.
Is it one of those scenarios, though, where he's being paid as well?
Paid? Who?
No,
to just train?
Yeah.
Nah, I don't think so. I think he just kind of threw it out there.
I think it should be.
In the Twitter sphere.
If it's that dangerous, I would do it.
I think just give him a matchup. That way, if the fight happens, it happens, and if it doesn't, then he still has to. You still have another fight. Fighters don't like to really train. I don't think you even get their best camp, honestly, when they know there's 99% chance, maybe 95 or 90 that they're not gonna fight. I don't know that you psych yourself up. You know, there's something about waking up and then just seeing that dude's picture in your mirror and you stare at him. You know what I mean? And you do a little countdown on the calendar. There's something about waking up and somebody goes, "Hey, you wanna go bar hopping today?" And you just go, "Yeah, let's go, man. I ain't fighting." You know, I just don't know. I think you take a day off or so. All right, we better take a break here. Let's do that. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 93. We will be back in a few minutes. And don't forget, Howard Bender will join us to discuss a little bit of baseball. Today's not only opening day of baseball, but we also got March Madness going on. So we plan on talking a little bit outside of MMA. It's going to be a fun show. And if you want to participate, it's 877-FIGHT-93. 877-344-4893. Stick around. Do not touch that dial. We'll be right back. We'll talk some women's MMA.
ready to my side.
I get paid to say things in this cool voice, and they get paid to be lame. Here are Gorgeous George and Goes.
All right, so I mentioned Howard Bender would be our guest, and he's coming up in about 10 minutes. What you want to do is hear Howard Bender co-hosting Fantasy Alarm with former Big League General Manager Jim Bowden, weekdays at 4 Eastern on the only channel dedicated to fantasy sports, Sirius XM Fantasy Sports Radio, Sirius 210 XM87, streaming on your phone or at home on connected devices and speakers. That's pretty cool, man. Every day at 4 p.m. Eastern. So catch that show, Fantasy Alarm, and he'll be joining us in about 7 minutes now. Now, let me repeat what we've been dropping the last few days. We are moving to channel 156. Fight Nation is moving to channel 56 on April 4th. You heard
Fight Nation.
You heard the lady say, "Leave it alone. Leave your preset alone, and we'll just become 156 on your presets." You can do that, but let's just say you don't do that. And let's just say you happen to be a listener that fumbles the programming or your presets or whatever. Then just remember on April 4th, if you're always used to chasing down 93, just get used to the number 156. All right, it's still gonna be Fight Nation, it's still gonna be 156. So when you see us tweeting and retweeting, you'll remember that. You'll remember what I just said right now. Let's do a quick rundown of some big fights coming up in the world of WMMA. I mentioned Nunes versus Holly Holm. That's taking place on July 6th at UFC 239. Solid fight, right, Goes? I mean, whether she deserves it or not, that's going to be a great matchup to tune into.
Whether she deserves it or not, her skill set is the type of skill set that can give just about anybody trouble.
Right.
And especially a girl like Amanda who likes to be very aggressive. Those are kind of girls that Holly's had. She hasn't had the utmost success against, but she's had moments where I think she's a live dog.
Correct. Aspen Ladd is going to be fighting Sijara Eubanks at UFC on ESPN Plus 9, and that's taking place on May 18th. Solid, right? Nice bounce back for Ladd. She didn't get the home fight, but Eubanks is right up there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the winner of that fight will be in a good position to maybe challenge the two ladies I mentioned earlier. Who knows? That Ketlin Vera young ladies out there as well. Ketlin Vera is 2-0. Sorry, number 2 ranked, and she's 10-0. So I don't know what her situation is, but I'm sure she'll play in at some point. We also have Irene Aldana against Betch Correa. These are two top 15, because they're 14 and 15 in the USA Today Sports and MMAjunkie rankings. They're fighting in Brazil on the same card as Rose Namajunas and Jessica Andrade, which leads me now to the strawweight division, which is my favorite, I think, of the WMMA divisions right now at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so deep with talent. We talked to Randa Marcos yesterday. She's coming off a win over Angela Hill. That was two top 15 fighters there. Rose defends against Jessica Andrade. They had their press conference today, and so they're promoting that one pretty heavy. That's UFC 237 on May 11th. We also have Tatiana Suarez against Nina Ansaroff. Remember, Nina's playing with house money. She wanted to retire like 2 years ago, but she keeps winning.
Yeah.
So
she's getting better.
Yeah, and she just keeps progressing, and now she's got the undefeated Tatiana Suarez. That takes place on June 8th on the fight card with Cejudo and Moraes in Chicago. Karolina Kowalkiewicz will fight Michelle Watterson this Saturday. So we'll get that result pretty quick. Go ahead.
What I like about this division is if you look at the stacked divisions in the UFC, the reason we call them stacked is because if you were to go down in the rankings and go number 15, number 10, and match them up against the champion, you would still go, oh, that's a fun matchup. That's a good matchup. You can do that with the strawweights. I'm not so sure you can do that with the other female divisions.
Couple more quick ones here. Livinia Souza, number 8, faces number 7 Carla Esparza. Again, these are strawweights, and this takes place on April 27th. Now let's go to flyweight, where the champion, Valentina Shevchenko, she'll be defending her belt in June in Chicago, UFC 238. She's the co-main event to Moraes versus Cejudo for the vacant bantamweight title. The other bantamweight title will be defended versus Jessica Ai. So that's a solid fight right there for Valentina Shevchenko. Also, Elimale McFarlane from Bellator, she'll be defending her belt in the flyweight division versus Vida Arteaga on April 27th. So there's a lot of fights coming up. Joanne Calderwood versus Caitlin Chikagian in Chicago. Roxanne Modafferi against Valentina's sister Antonina on April 20th in Russia. So that one's really coming up. And that's about it. We got to take another break because we're going to be talking a little bit of baseball. Today was opening day, and we want to talk about the national pastime. I'm going to ask a little bit about my Angels, who signed Mike Trout to the most lucrative contract in the history of sports, I believe. Goes, I'm sure, wants to get his Dodgers questions in, and I'm sure Gabby will inquire about her Mets. So stay close. We'll be right back with Howard Bender.
Is off. It's time for more MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goes.
It's opening day here on SiriusXM Sports. We're welcoming baseball back with an all-day celebration of America's pastime. MLB Network Radio is the 24/7 home for baseball talk and play-by-play on Sirius 209 and XM 89. And it brings you a full day of live coverage with a triple header beginning at 1 p.m. Eastern, so that was earlier today. Every game of the 2019 baseball season is available on SiriusXM. All right, our guest here is Howard Bender. You can hear Howard Bender co-hosting Fantasy Alarm with former Big League General Manager Jim Bowden. Weekdays at 4 p.m. Eastern on the only channel dedicated to fantasy sports, SiriusXM, Fantasy Sports Radio, Series 210, XM 87. And what's going on, Howard? Welcome to MMA Junkie Radio.
Guys, thanks so much for having me, man. It's an absolute pleasure to be here, and happy opening day for MLB to you, too.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
That means a lot.
Yeah.
It should be a holiday.
Same to you, sir. Now, that said, my Angels got blanked 4-0. So maybe it's not as happy of a day for me as it is for you guys. You guys won 12-5. So
Yeah.
congratulations.
Thank you very much.
But there's still 161 more of these to sort this damn thing out. So I'm not going to be.
But you want to set the tone.
Yeah.
For your fans.
Yeah.
For the players.
Yeah.
You got to set that tone on opening day.
What's it like for you, Howard? Is baseball your number one, or are you an all-around sports guy?
I'm an all-around sports guy, but baseball definitely ranks number one. I grew up 106 and Lex in Manhattan, a couple of subway stops away from Yankee Stadium. So I was that kid that you see in the movies, scraping up change with his buddies and running up and buying bleacher seats when you're 7, 8 years old and going to the ballpark. So it's always been my number one, and it always will be.
Are you more of a purist, or have you embraced like the wild card change, years ago and replay and all that?
You got to embrace it all. I mean, listen, every game evolves in some fashion or another, and if you don't learn to roll with the punches, then you get left behind. All these stodgy old farts who are sitting here talking about, you got to get rid of the DH and all the other garbage that you hear right now. I mean, it's like, guys, listen, this is why print is dead, because you're ancient, you're out of date, your archaic way of thinking is stuck in the mud. People want different things. Like these old-timers out there who curse against the bat flip, or guys having some sort of fun on the ball field like that. I mean, that's no good. You gotta enjoy yourself. It's a game, for crying out loud.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking at the scores here. Your Yankees already handled business 7-2. They hosted the Orioles. Gabby, our producer back east, her Mets 1-2. Now I'm the only damn loser here out of the four of us.
Yeah, you're a jinx.
Yeah, all right. So, Goes, what do you have for Howard?
But you've got Mike Trout, so.
Yeah. That was going to be my next question. So, all right.
430 million. That's incredible. It almost feels like billion, honestly, when you get to those numbers.
Oh, my God.
To a low life like me.
We're talking about how much the game has changed, and one thing that's changed drastically is just the amount of money that one individual can command. You see what the Angels did, the Phillies, like it's becoming a trend. Is it too much, Howard? Like, are these salaries just way above and beyond? Because some people try and do the math and they say, well, it's not really as much as people think. But to me, it just seems like you're putting your franchise at a disadvantage.
In some cases, you might be putting your franchise at a disadvantage. It depends on how the contracts get structured. I actually really like what's going on right now. If you guys have seen what free agency has looked like in the past 2 seasons, 2 off seasons here, it's been a nightmare. You've had guys who, teams aren't ponying up the money that they used to. They're not ponying up the long-term contracts for the mediocre talent. Now, a guy like Mike Trout, a guy like Bryce Harper, these guys are getting 10, 12, 13-year deals. And you have to look at the AAV, the average salary that they're getting. Mike Trout at $35 million, yeah, I mean, is that an obscene amount? Of course it's an obscene amount. It's absolutely insane. But when you turn around and you look at it, that 10 years down the road, when he's making $35 million a year, you're going to have some young up-and-coming stud who's going to be looking for that 6-year deal at $50 million per. So, I think that on one hand, it can hamstring a team. But what we're seeing now, though, is that we're seeing guys who are just staying with their original teams. They're doing these long-term deals because they don't want to travel around. They don't want to have to hit free agency and have to deal with the continuous negotiations that you see everybody deal with on a regular basis. So I think that it's going to start to, I don't necessarily know if we're going to have to see a salary cap, but at some point it will kind of top off.
You mentioned to us during the break that Trout actually left money on the table. That boggled my mind. How much could he have pursued, Howard?
Oh, well, you think about it here. If Mike Trout were to have negotiated a deal for himself somewhere in the neighborhood of $30 to $40 million a year, and just did himself like a 6-year deal with a 3-year opt-out, then come 3 years he's making, tack on another $10 to $15 million a year on that. If you do the shorter deal and you hit free agency, as long as you continue to play at the level at which Mike Trout plays, Bryce Harper plays, these guys are just going to keep commanding more and more money. So to see him lock in for $34 million a year for 13 years, you have no idea what that salary could be like in 6 years if he had to renegotiate.
Howard, if you're the franchise, if you're a fan of the franchise, let's say you're an Angels fan like George over here, what does it mean for you as a fan? Say you have season tickets. Are your prices going to go up? Are beers going to go up? Ticket prices? What does it mean for the fans?
You're always going to see some sort of a trickle-down effect, especially when you're dealing with numbers of this magnitude. Now, a lot of teams, because of the luxury tax in baseball, a lot of teams will sit there and they'll just obviously undercut the money that's going to the support cast. Your Cole Calhouns, your Justin Boers, your Andrelton Simmons, they're never going to make that Mike Trout type money. And as long as the organization doesn't go over that $260 million threshold per year, then the team's okay with it also. So you might see a small trickle-down effect that way, but overall, as a fan, I mean, come on. If you're an Angels fan right now, to know that you're going to go to the ballpark for the next 10 to 13 years and you're going to get to see Mike Trout, that your kid is going to get to see Mike Trout, be an Angels fan, that you can buy your kid an Angels jersey that says Trout on the back of it and know that it's actually going to stay that way for 10 to 13 years, that's fantastic. Think about all the Arizona Diamondbacks fans out there wearing their Goldschmidt jerseys, looking like a bunch of mooks right now.
All right, enough about the AAA teams, the Angels, those guys. Let's talk about the Dodgers. Are you going to give me good news or bad news? Because the offseason was a little different for us this year. The Rockies are looking pretty good. Am I going to be a happy guy at the end of the year?
It all hinges on your pitching staff. It really does. I mean, these guys are going to get coddled. You're going to see a lot of 5 and dives, what we call it here, where guys are going to go 5 innings. Dave Roberts is going to turn it over to the bullpen here. Doesn't want to run the risk of losing these guys because you've got the offense that's going to be able to carry you throughout the season. It's a matter of whether Kershaw's back can stay healthy. It's a matter of whether Rich Hill can stay healthy or if the blisters are going to pop up there. So you're going to see your pitching staff get coddled a ton. If they stay healthy, then you guys are in it to win it. If they don't, then you might have some issues.
In regards to Dave Roberts, we've been the silver medalists here back-to-back years. A lot of franchises would love to be able to get to the World Series, but I feel like the big cities, New York, L.A., they hold their teams by the throat. And if Dave Roberts does this again, at what point does the heat start to come down on a guy like that? I know it sounds ridiculous.
No, it's true though. But I mean, the heat's always on these guys. It's unbelievable. You get certain franchises where it's such a win now mentality, and there are some major media markets that refuse to do a rebuild. So you got to bring in a veteran manager to end up watching over these guys. It's not the same thing of having like an old-time manager and a whole bunch of rookies who are moving up through the system together over time. So you need somebody who's experienced, who's strong-willed, and who can handle all of these personalities in the locker room and still remain dominant. Once a guy like Dave Roberts, who is considered a player's manager, once he loses the locker room, that's it. He's done. So if the pressure gets to him too much, and then all of a sudden the team starts to turn on him because they're losing, then he'll be out of it.
Howard Bender is our guest here on the MMA Junkie Radio Show. You can catch him Monday through Friday at 4 Eastern along with Jim Bowden. They co-host Fantasy Alarm, and they talk about fantasy sports, not just baseball, but fantasy sports. Right now we are talking about baseball. And I wanted to ask you, Howard, give me 2 teams from either league that you think are in the prime position to succeed this year and win the World Series.
In the American League, it's an easy one there. You got to go with the Yankees and you got to go with the Red Sox. I'll throw in the Houston Astros in there as well. I think that those are the top 3 teams in the American League who are all primed and ready to go. Over in the National League, it's a lot different right now. The Phillies are definitely in a really nice spot to be in there. Gabby's Mets, actually, believe it or not, Brody Van Wagenen, who's now their new GM. This dude he's ready to win now, and he's willing to make the moves to make that happen. and then you've got the Atlanta Braves. And I think that those are the three teams that the Dodgers are really going to have to watch out for. I mean, I love the Padres, and I love what they're doing, but they're still too young. They're green. And as far as the Rockies go, I mean, listen, as long as that stadium plays the way it does, there's never going to be any kind of home field advantage. So I really feel like your NL champion is actually going to come out from the NL East, either the Mets, the Braves, or the Phillies.
Now, can you give me one team that's being overlooked? Because we're a Vegas-based show, so as soon as we're done, I'm going to run here to the sports book and maybe put a dub on each one of the teams you say. But give me a team where you think I can get some better odds. Everyone's overlooking them, but maybe they're young and hungry, or they got speed, or they got pitching, or they got a great bullpen. You know, something that maybe is just being overlooked by everyone else. The common.
Sure,
fan.
you want to throw. You want to throw it down on the Minnesota Twins for the American League, and you want to throw it down for the Milwaukee Brewers over in the National League. I think the Twins have a really good shot at taking that Central Division there, and any team that gets into those playoffs, into a 7-game series, you always have to be careful of them. They've got good hitting. They've got really strong pitching, as we saw from Jose Barrios today. As for the Brewers have one of the great offenses. I love the re-signing of Mike Moustakas. I think they're a starting pitcher away from actually winning the National League. It's just a matter of whether or not they're going to. It's been 2 years now since they've been throwing in nice additions into their pitching staff. For some reason, management just absolutely refuses to dive into it. If they do commit, look out for Milwaukee.
All right. Now, Howard, how about our sport, mixed martial arts? Are you a fan? Do you ever catch it?
I do catch it every so often. We cover it over at fantasyalarm.com. My guy Mike Alexander, who does our MMA content over there, he's been teaching me a lot more. Obviously daily fantasy sports, DFS is huge, and you can pretty much use it for any game. You can bet on any game, as far as building a lineup goes there. So I'm learning more and more. I'm more of a lover than a fighter. I'm definitely built for comfort and not speed. So, I'm more inclined, instead of, watching two people fight it out in the octagon, like I said to you over the break, you put me in a sumo suit in a bouncy castle, and then we're having some fun.
Well, I always look. I know it's not good for the sport because baseball is such it's a family sport, and you don't ever want to see anything. But I gotta admit, man, when a brawl breaks out in baseball, I've always loved it, and so I knew that when MMA came out, because MMA came out in '93.
That's like 20 on 20 though. At some point, that's what makes it fun.
I know, that's true. How often do these brawls break out in baseball?
For MMA, for me, it's kind of funny because you've got wrestlers, you've got strikers, you've got boxers, and when you see somebody who's like a jiu-jitsu specialist and they end up going up against a boxer and they end up using the ground game, then it's like, all of a sudden, like, guys are being twisted up into pretzels and there are submission moves and stuff like that. That's the stuff that freaks me out. I'm like, I can't handle that. That dude's arm is about to break.
I totally understand that. It's the guys like Joe Lazon, the guys that look like they work at Fry's or something or McDonald's. Remember back in the day, you could kind of point out, I think I got that guy, I think I got that guy. Right. Now they all, they're teenagers, they're kind of nerdy, and they can kill you, dude.
I know, yeah. All right,
Kevin
Howard.
James ruined it for you guys.
One last question. Look, anybody that, I'm not going to knock anyone's hustle. Anybody that can go out there and get the money, if someone's willing to give it to them, good for them. I'm not the most hardcore baseball fan, but I kind of know what's going on. And when the Angels were out, like last June, I kind of kept an eye on the Dodgers. And they had this guy named Manny Machado, right? Yeah. Who openly says, I don't like the hustle. And he didn't really live up to, you guys. He was supposed to be this push goes for to get you guys over the top. And he had some moments from then on or whatever. But I couldn't believe he was one of the guys that capitalized. What is it about baseball? It's just the player had the leverage?
Usually, yeah. Well, it's the agents who have the leverage, obviously, and that's really kind of what happens. And San Diego is really looking to make a strong, big move this year. They've got a lot of youth coming up through the system, so they want to have some parts in place for it. They were willing to pay for it. Machado, he comes from Baltimore, which is a weak club. So when he goes to the Dodgers and they look like they're in it, but then they're not in it, then all of a sudden he starts to get a little on the lax side there. I hate that attitude in a player, but if the team stays competitive, he'll stay interested.
All right. Howard, thanks so much for jumping on here with us. We really appreciate it. And we'll definitely be catching your show, Fantasy Alarm, 4 p.m. Eastern. And please, we'd love to have you back on the show sometime. Maybe mid-season we can do an all-star update or something.
Would be an absolute pleasure, guys. Thanks so much for having me on.
All right. Thank you, sir. Take care. All right. There you have it. That's Howard Bender. And fantasy sports players, it's not just baseball. They say they do it all over there. So check it out. 4 p.m. Eastern. It's a Monday through Friday show. And you can catch them on Sirius 210 or XM87, streaming on your phone and at home on connected devices and speakers. All right, when we come back, we are going to be talking to Tyron Woodley, one of the top fighters in the sport of mixed martial arts, former welterweight champion, and it looks like he may already have another fight booked. So we'll talk about all that when we come back. Do not touch that dial. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation, Channel 93. All right, if you're hearing every once in a while a loud crowd, we are in the Mandalay Bay Race and Sportsbook. Stop on by anytime if you're ever in town for business or pleasure. We'd love to have you sit in with us and chill. Like Shango from Las Vegas, he's doing that right now. We're watching March Madness. We're watching some baseball. I even see the ponies over there on the bottom left to the far left of that foursome there, some hockey. So, yeah, we got it all here. And, of course, I think March Madness is what everyone's cheering about, right, Goose?
Yeah, I thought it was odd that opening day. I feel like a lot of it got taken away by March Madness.
Is it me or did the season start early? It's usually an April start, isn't it?
Early.
And is it me or is Easter like really late this year?
Yeah, Easter is late.
Okay. Well, who knows? I don't know what's up with the calendar, but that's the hand we were dealt. That right there, folks, that's the hand we were dealt. That's what you can say instead of it is what it is. Oh, my God. You don't like that one?
Somebody said something else that was on the line, on the border of it is what it is. What the hell was it? That's what it is, or that's what it was, or something like that.
It was what it was?
It kind of bothered me, but not too bad.
So no respect for that one, huh?
No.
That's the hand we were dealt. Wow.
Do you want to text your friend?
Sure.
Yeah, let's do
I
that.
did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I did to inform him that the call would be forthcoming, but I haven't heard back. We still got time. We got the whole hour here to get Tyron Woodley on. He'll be our guest here in the second hour, and we'll be talking a little bit about maybe that fight that I think is going to happen. That's what I want to confirm with Tyron. Is it going down or what? You know who said that, Goes?
Who?
The Undertaker to Brock Lesnar when he was walking out of the Cain Velasquez fight.
That's what he told him?
Yeah, he goes, is it going down or what? Or something like that.
I thought he said something else.
Are we going to do this?
I think that's what he said.
Are we going to do this? Yeah.
It's for me, it's weird when you mix those two worlds because it's so hard. Like, look at Ronda Rousey, right? Everything that she said, and yet they gave her probably the biggest spot that you could possibly give a wrestler. So where we're all thinking, oh my God, she's toast. You can't be saying these type of things. That might have just been something that was orchestrated. Like, you never know.
I do want to give a quick plug for Howard Bender on the social media side. If you want to give him a follow, RotoBuzz Guy on Twitter, ROTOBUZZGUY. And again, his show is 2 hours long. It's a Monday through Friday show starting at 4 p.m. Pacific time. Fantasy Alarm.
I want to do a quick shout out if you don't mind. Two of my buddies, Dario and Jose, they lost their father, Jose Gaitan, who was actually one of my soccer coaches growing up. He was such a nice guy. He was Peruvian, like so our families got along, and he did so much for us as kids to kind of like we all played AYSO, which was basically just let them kids run out on the field, everybody plays, and just berserk. The ball's getting thrown around left and right. And then he came along and kind of really showed us the game of soccer and taught it to us, and we would all go over his house. He managed 2 teams, and we would watch footage, and that's where I actually started to kind of learn about these teams, these Manchester Uniteds, Juventus at the time, AC Milan, and he would show us footage of how soccer's supposed to be played. And he taught us a lot. He mentored a lot of us, and there were times where he lived right by our junior high, and rainy days where we would forget to tell our moms or something on a short day, he would let us hang out at the house, and he fed us.
So he was like a father figure in a way.
Yeah, he was a great guy, and they lost him this week. So
was this sudden goes, or had he been ill? Or?
He had been ill in the past, but yeah, I think this was a little sudden, and he's definitely going to be missed. And thank you so much for everything that you showed us, Mr. Gaitan, and to my guys, Jose and Dario, and they have a sister. I can't remember her name right now, but I hope everything.
God bless the family.
Yeah, God bless you guys, and if anybody can help out, I will post. They have a GoFundMe going, so I'll post that on my Twitter. But great people.
Yeah, I definitely would like to contribute. Okay. I want to circle back to March Madness and give a shout out now to Billy McDonald, Chili Billy McDonald. We're closing in on 2,900 shows and 12 years of doing this show, and Billy's been along the ride for quite a few of those. He is actually leading the NCAA pool that I created last minute, last Wednesday night. He's in first place. Second place, Roger Stillwell. Third place, Gene Jimenez. So it's still early. That's only rounds 1 and 2. Right now we're playing to get to the Elite 8 and then eventually the Sweet 16 on Sunday. Then they come back one more weekend and do a Final Four and then your final. But so far he's in the pole position. So congrats to him. And I do want to clear up a little bit of confusion. There's 45 people that entered this pool, but it looks like 14 people didn't get in. There must have been one last step to confirm your entry that they didn't do.
Oh.
And it sucks because this is the first time I spearheaded this. So, I got in and I didn't really have a problem. Yeah, but I'm going to keep an eye on the other 14 and I'll see if I can come up with a prize out of my pocket or something like that just for that person. Because the winner of this gets their favorite sports jersey. That's a pretty cool prize. You know what I mean? It's free to get in. So, like,
any jersey is going to cost
an Angel winner can
like
get a
$70 to $120, right?
Yeah, an Angel winner can get a Trout jersey or whatever.
If you're a Niner fan, maybe $30. I don't know.
Maybe $30. Correct. Yeah, good one. Really, really nice. So, just know if you're listening to the show and you're one of those, I'll see what I can do because it was the first time and it all happened so quick, man, that anybody that tried to get to me, I couldn't reply in time. It just went down that way.
It was different on the phone, George. Did you notice? I did mine on the phone, and I think you did yours on the laptop. And
it happened with Simon's pool as well.
Yeah, on the phone, I noticed was a little bit more difficult, and on the laptop, it was easier to put in. So maybe it was that.
Here are some junkies that aren't doing as well as Billy McDonald. You want to hear them?
Sure.
Brandon Condra. He's in 29th place. Shallow Hal, he's in 27th place. Our big boss, Chris Perone, he's in 24th place. Well, I can't talk too much. I'm in 22nd. The lovely and talented Juliet, she's in 20th. tied with Buffalo Blue. Our cousin Lewis will be here tomorrow. He's in 18th place. And Katie T, that wouldn't be Katie from Boston, right? Because she's
think so.
Katie. Yeah, no, that is her.
Katie.
TR.
Oh, Trombley.
Yeah, that is her.
Sorry.
13th place. Marissa Rivas is in my pool.
Oh, yeah? Where's she at?
The general manager of
She's
Fight
pretty good
Nation.
at that stuff.
Yeah, she's tied with Katie for 13th place. And from the Man Cave in Tustin, California, Ugo is tied for 11th with Humpty Sean. Remember him?
Yeah.
Dave Manley from the MMA Bobblehead.
Great guy.
MMAbobblehead.com. These bobbleheads right here are created by Dave Manley. Here's the Brian Ortega. There's the Dan Henderson. Check them out. You'll really like them. Quality product. In fact, you know what? We have a gift certificate. And I think that gift certificate is going to go to the most valuable junkie on Saturday goes when we host Sportscaster.
Okay.
We're going to do UFC on ESPN 2. That's coming up here with Gagey and Barbosa. Goz and I are hosting or broadcasting actually on Sportscaster at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. That's when the main card starts. Remember, ESPN cards, just like Big Fox cards, start earlier than your traditional pay-per-views. So we will be broadcasting, and they have a chat, so we'll keep an eye on the chat, and I'll keep an eye a little bit on social media, and I think the MVP of that night will send them one of the gift certificates that we have for them to get a bobblehead.
Yeah.
That Dave gave us a while back to give to a deserving junkie.
If you're wondering how this works, this is how it goes down. You're watching the fights, but rather than hear those guys break it down, listen to us. We'll be, at times we're a little play-by-play-ish, and at times we're just kind of watching the fights like you guys, and we're throwing our stuff out, right?
Yeah.
In between every fight, we're trying to figure out who's next for that guy. During the fight, we're pointing things out, just having a good old time.
Except we're going to be unprofessional. They're all buttoned up with suits and ties, and they have to listen to the producer. We can do whatever the hell we want. We can have drinks. We can have parlay tickets. We can have a pizza right here, and that's what we're going to do is we're going to have a good time as we call the fights, Junkie Radio style, on Sportscaster, www.sportscaster.com/MMA Junkie. Again, that's on Saturday. Hey, you know my strategy. I think when we're not able to connect with the guest, I want to get one of the breaks out of the way. Okay. That way, if they do circle back,
we're not pressed.
Yeah, we're not pressed for time. So let's get one out of the way right now. We're going to still try and continue to connect with Tyron Woodley. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 93. Stay close. We will be right back.
Goes. Now, feel their wrath.
Can't hate on this song. Even though they play it at Liverpool, I know that we're honoring a lot of the different teams out there in Major League Baseball, and I know the Red Sox, this is their song. What was that, guys?
Darren Till when he fights.
Darren Till when he fights as well, yeah. All right. While we try and locate Tyron Woodley, let's catch up a little bit on more of the fallout from the Conor McGregor retirement news. Retirement/negotiation tactic news. I still feel like Conor will be back. He did this once before. I can sniff it out already. Dana White, since the news broke, you know, they gave their side where they wished him well and felt like, hey, if he's not ready to go, all right. Proper Whiskey's doing great. It's killing it. Remember that one? Mm-hmm. Well, then he did another interview with TMZ Sports. I believe this was yesterday. So that we got a couple cuts from that. Let's start with Dana White on cut number 1 on Conor's retirement, explaining it to the guys from TMZ.
I was surprised. Came out of nowhere last night. But, you know, a lot of people were speculating that it was, like you said, posturing because of negotiate. But we really haven't been negotiating that hard. He said that in Chicago. I saw that, and he sent me a text. And I've never had a bad conversation with Conor McGregor since he's been in the UFC. So
what did he say in the text, Dana?
What's that?
What did he say in the text?
Oh, he went back and he said I feel like I should own a piece of the company. I said, Conor, you know that's never going to happen. But this was a couple weeks ago.
I see. I thought you meant yesterday.
So he's
no, this was a couple weeks ago.
Right.
And then last night when he did. But listen, I don't know why everybody's so shocked about it. When you think about it, ever since the Floyd Mayweather fight, I've been saying you don't know if this guy's ever going to fight again. He's fought twice since he won in 2016.
Well, that fight, Floyd made him a lot of money. And so did the Khabib Nurmagomedov fight. Those 2 fights alone probably made him way more than what he made in his whole MMA career, and probably what he's made through whiskey and everything else up until then. Those were just massive paydays between the two. Between the two, he had to have made $100 million. That at worst estimate. 50 on each one, I would say, maybe. I don't know.
Can we be clear about one thing, though?
Sure.
No fighter on the current roster will ever own a piece of the UFC, right? That's Pandora's box.
True.
I don't think anybody who owns a business would ever do something like that. Now, a retired Conor McGregor? Maybe,
sure, yeah.
Right? He's got the money to buy in or whatever if he wants to take a different type of role. But a current fighter, it's not good for business.
I agree. All right. Now, this is where he says he understands. This is Dana again on cut number 2. He understands why people are shocked about Conor's retirement. Let's hear his thoughts there.
No, that is true, and he is passionate about fighting. And you know, when you look at his Instagram, he's always training. He's in great shape. I don't know, man. This isn't just like any other sport. This is a tough sport, and you know, he has the opportunity to sit back. He has enough money to do whatever he wants to do. His whiskey is killing it and doing really well right now, and I'm sure he's going to be successful at whatever he decides to do.
But the more you make, the more you spend. That's one lesson we've learned from a lot of high-profile athletes that make a lot of money. Save for like a guy like Barry Sanders, who still probably has his lunch money from the 3rd grade. I heard he was traditionally pretty frugal. And that's why he was able to walk away at the peak. He just was done with football, and he never came back. He never even teased to come back, I don't think. But Conor McGregor, come on, man. That guy's whining and dining. And, yeah, whiskey's doing well, but you've seen Conor have lapses in judgment in his personal life. That can carry over into the business life. I don't know. You know, there's taxes as well. You got these legal problems. Plus, I still want to circle back to the fact that the guy just loves the fight, and he's pretty damn good at it. And, again, when he fights, he owns – he's the – what would he call it? The master of the universe for 1 week. You know, it doesn't matter, not just in this country. A lot of countries tune in to see what Conor McGregor is up to on fight week. Then they tune in for the fight.
To be fair, though, he has done a lot of things to set himself up for the future outside of mixed martial arts, where probably what he makes from MMA can just go in the bank, and I think he lives off of Proper 12, stuff like that, appearances, all that stuff, right? Wouldn't you imagine at this point? As where like some other athletes, I think just all the money they made from their sport, and that was it. They didn't really invest in companies. See a guy like Shaquille O'Neal, what he does now.
Companies can go bad too, guys.
I know, but he's done things that have been successful so far. I think he's done a good job with that.
So far, he's doing well.
I think he's a smart guy.
Yeah. All right. Now, cut number 3, Dana White explains that they haven't even really talked per se. It's not like there was a turnoff of any kind in any form of negotiation. This is cut number 3.
It feels to me like he still wants you to give him a piece of the pie, Dana.
I'm sure that's the case. Maybe that's the case. But Conor has never come out, sat down with me, and said, I want a piece of the company. Here's why. We've never had that conversation. We said we did it in text 2 weeks ago. Like I said, I've never had a bad conversation with Conor McGregor in the entire time he's been in this company. You know, I love the guy, and he's got plenty of money. If he wants to retire, that's his decision. And I always say, when you talk about retirement, it's probably something you should do if that's what you're thinking.
Okay, yeah, they haven't sat down in the same room, but they've talked. They've talked, and they're just far apart. That's what it boils down to.
Yeah. Neither guy.
And I think they both know it's a game. That's just the intro. You know what I mean?
But does the UFC move on without Conor McGregor, and does Conor McGregor move on without the UFC?
You've already seen it. UFC 239, Thiago Santos versus Jon Jones.
Temporarily, right?
Yeah, but now in a month is August, and the month later is September. And so Conor can fill in on one of those cards, but at least that one appears to have sailed.
But at the end of the year, when you're looking at your numbers and you go, ooh, this is a little different from last year, that's going to sting a little bit more later on for the UFC, right? For Conor McGregor, him moving on without the UFC, maybe he can do it for a little while, but he just seems like the type of guy that loves combat sports, loves to be involved, loves to be that guy, that active guy. I don't know how much longer he can hold out on something like this.
I'm of the opinion.
And you have to be sharp. You have to stay sharp.
That the UFC, what they did with ESPN, was the equivalent to like probably quite a few Conor McGregor fights. So they've already had their Conor McGregor fights. And then to top it off, they tacked on 2 more years, and they're signing all these lucrative contracts everywhere. I mean, they're building PIs. Like the UFC just seems to be spiking right now. They added another building next to the new PI here in Las Vegas, where they're going to have their own little stadium. So I think look, of course, when Conor does business, things are great. But I think they're doing great regardless. And I think the ESPN deal is helping them carry this. If they didn't have that, maybe right now they'd be going, God, we got to do something. Let's crunch some numbers. Let's figure this thing out. But right now I don't think they're in panic mode. I guess what I'm trying to say is they just have leverage. By the way, it looks like we have one final here with March Madness. Gonzaga moves on. They defeated Florida State. If you're hearing a lot of roaring, it's because Tennessee is locked into a battle. Who are they playing, though?
I think it's Purdue.
Purdue. Okay, it's going back and forth. Last I saw it was 72-70.
They're trailing for a while, too.
Really?
They're getting wins, but they're not looking great doing it.
Tennessee?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Conor can become a part owner. And like we mentioned a few days ago, or maybe it was yesterday, the way to do that is to invest like anybody else would in a business. But you're not just going to get it. This is Dana White talking to TMZ about that. Cut number 4, please.
Listen, if you want to own a piece of the company, you'd have to put up the money to buy a piece of the company.
Okay. That's good, Dana. That's so good. Now we know how that conversation would go.
Is there horse trading, though, if he says, like, in my next Khabib fight, I'll take half the pay for a percentage of the company or something like that?
I don't know. I mean, these are all parts of negotiation. I mean, if you wanted to buy into the UFC right now, the valuation is pretty huge.
There you have it. So he's talking to Conor through the media. TMZ's big. Got to give it up to him. TMZ Sports is big. Conor often uses TMZ as well to float a message. I think he probably used Jimmy Fallon to float a message as well about a week ago. So this is just one big game, and that's why I'm not necessarily in any panic mode. Quick update on March Madness. It's now 73-73 with 3 minutes and 26 seconds left. Go ahead.
How much of this do you feel like is Conor McGregor in the driver's seat saying, this is my next move, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that? Or how much of it do you feel like it's Team McGregor saying, listen, Conor, this is the way we think you need to approach things? To me, I feel like nobody really tells that guy what to do. I think it's him.
Well, Adi's a pretty sharp guy.
Oh, yeah.
So if there's someone's opinion that he respects, it's probably him.
Well, he wouldn't be
out
there.
of all the people that surround him.
Mm-hmm.
But to answer your question,
but at the end of the day,
July,
can he grab his arm and tell him you need to do this? I don't think so.
No, it doesn't appear that way. So I would say this: since July has sailed, I would say Conor's now eyeballing November in New York or December in Vegas, which gives him a few months to play this game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, let's see how you do without me. Maybe it is Khabib again in November, or maybe it's someone else. Who knows? Well, that's one hell of a game, isn't it?
It's
They're
back
not missing.
and forth, man.
It's now 78-76 Tennessee. Now, you asked the question as far as, like, who needs who. Dana White actually was asked that by the TMZ guys here in cut number 5, and he explains what he would say to people who say that the UFC needs Conor McGregor. Cut number 5, please, Kevin.
I've been hearing that for 20 years. I've been hearing that when every star was coming at the end of their career. People have been saying that to me for 20 years. When we sold the company, Ari paid too much, and the UFC is dead now. They're not going to get a television deal, and I hear this stuff every day. First of all, nobody knows what we're working on. Nobody knows anything about this sport. Nobody. Not even the so-called experts, because all this stuff is new. Everything that we're doing, we've been the trailblazers in this business for the last 20 years, and we're going to be for the next 20 years too. The stuff that we're working on is so huge and so next level, and it's amazing when we have stars like George St. Pierre and Anderson Silva and Conor McGregor and Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
But it's part of sports. There will be others.
Oh, I love the way you approach business, Dana.
All right, he's been saying that for a while, too, that they're going to blow us away. I've yet to be blown away. Other than ESPN, I knew ESPN would always be a player because the sport kept growing, but for them to just renegotiate an extra 2 years, 2.5 months into an existing deal that's pretty lucrative, that blew me away. Hats off. All right, but I knew that a Reebok or someone would come along and they could possibly have that type of a deal. I didn't know that it was going to hammer the athletes the way it did. I don't know if that one was thought out, but what have you seen that's really, like, blown you away? That they're going to Sweden or they go to Australia? Fuck, we knew that. I mean, who doesn't love themselves a good fight? We know that. You know how we know it? Because athletes from those countries were competing there, so we knew that it was just a matter of time. Now, what we don't know is the stats on some of these TV deals. Yeah, you'll have your Marco from Waco's or your Meltzers and all them, they have, they hear things or they have their sources and they'll quote stuff, but I don't know if that's how big that is. The Fight Pass, I thought flopped early on, but then turned out to be pretty good for them. It's a stream of revenue. 2.4 million, that's nothing you can predict. You didn't know that an Irishman was going to go become the biggest star ever back then, and that he would fight an undefeated Russian and you'd sell 2.4 million. You didn't know that. In 2010, when he was saying, in the next 10 years, you don't even know what's headed your way, he didn't know that, and I'll tell you why, because we knew about Conor McGregor before he did. You know what I mean?
True.
He went to Ireland, and people from Cage Warriors were telling him, you got to sign this McGregor guy, a guy who we had on our show three times by the time he heard of him, by the time they went to dinner here at Strip Steak in Mandalay Bay. So, I'm just trying to stand up a little bit for the MMA media. I mean, what could really, really blow us away at this point? Maybe if there's a PI in every country. Like, I liked hearing 3 in Mexico and 1 in
China,
Puerto Rico, 1 in China. Hey, that's pretty good. I like that. But I don't know that I'm blown away yet. And don't forget, Dana says a lot of stuff, too, where he's way off. One of them is that this will overtake soccer.
That'll never, ever happen.
It's never going to happen.
It's not saying that they're not a good sport. They don't have a good game plan. It's just been there for so long, and so many people love it. It's worldwide.
More people watch soccer than any other sport. More people watch NFL than any other sport in America. Hell, there's 10,000 seat stadiums every Friday night just for high school football. All right? That's what they had in Nashville, if I'm not mistaken. That was their attendance, somewhere in that neighborhood. Football's a monster. Soccer's a monster. Baseball's not like it was, but it's also a monster. It's now 80-80 Tennessee and Purdue. Look, How about just here in Vegas alone? Could one argue that the Vegas Golden Knights are just as big as the UFC? I mean, look at that arena, Goes. It's packed.
Well, I'll tell you this.
Those tickets aren't cheap.
I listen to a lot of sports talk radio, and the amount of coverage that the UFC gets versus the Golden Knights, or even just the major sports, it's definitely more on the major sports side. So yeah. To answer your question, do things blow me away? They don't blow me away when they get announced. I think what blows me away more is that they're able to be consistent with what they say they're going to do. You know, when Reebok came out, I was kind of like, are you sure? And I guess it did pan out for them. All right.
I mean, they got, $60 million for 6 years?
Yeah.
But look at the kick. You look at the blowback from the fighters.
But that's going to happen with a sport that you saw from its inception. People are going to be that way.
But who's running out and buying the kits? No one's buying them.
You know, I'm actually seeing it more and more now.
Really?
Yeah. I trust me, I hated it. I still hate it to this day.
Yeah.
But I have kind of noticed lately, I'm just walking around, I'm seeing people wearing.
Like individual fighters, I see more people just wear the
at
three
the
letters,
gym,
UFC.
At the gym, I see there's this one lady that always wears a Jose Aldo. I mean, I see him quite a bit.
Wow.
But not to the point of like the way you would see a Dodger.
But he says they're one of the big four. He told Megan
jersey.
O'Leary they're one of the big four. Which one? Which one got eliminated?
Yeah, I don't know. That sounds crazy to me. What I do miss, as far as big news goes,
nobody misses over here.
I miss the big free agent signings. Don't you miss those days?
It's 82-80 Tennessee over Purdue with 8.8 seconds left. Yeah, the big announcements.
Yeah, like, oh my God, Shogun's coming over from Pride, Rampage. You know, that type of. We don't have that feel anymore. I mean, I guess when Gagey came over from.
There's not really big stars in other leagues that they want other than Bellator.
Yeah.
The occasional, like
but
when Marias came over from WSOF.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, who would they want from PFL? Probably like.
I mean, Ben
Cooper.
Askren.
Ben Askren, I was going to
big,
say.
right?
Yeah, but that was a trade. They gave one up, too.
Yeah, but I don't know. It was just kind of cool to see that news back in the day, and we don't really have that anymore.
Yeah.
Man, this game's insane.
It is insane. All right, so anyway, that's some of the latest there from Dana White with TMZ Sports. We're still trying to track down Tyron Woodley, but we still got 30 minutes to go. So now, why don't we do that last commercial, and then that way we know that if T. Wood does call in, we can cruise to the finish line with him.
Sounds good.
Listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Fight Nation Channel 93. Stay close. We'll be right back.
A new brand of sports.
And O. They are Gorgeous George and Goes. And this is MMA Junkie Radio.
Well, it's a pretty cool song, but I don't know what team plays this. Do you know which team rocks this?
When I looked up baseball songs, this was one of the first ones to pop up.
Well, they're a Jersey band, but there's not really a Jersey baseball team. So it could be the Mets, I suppose?
Probably because they're always talking about the glory days.
Yeah, it's like glory days. Like baseball glory days.
I got you.
That was my
Are you a Springsteen fan?
Me? Of course.
Yeah.
He's from Jersey. He's from Freehold, which is where I'm from. Same town as me.
Are you a Bon Jovi
Yeah,
fan?
but you were plugging Brooklyn there earlier.
Well, I was born there, but I grew up in New Jersey.
Did you just say not really to Bon Jovi after you just said, of course, he's from New Jersey?
Yeah,
like
Bon Jovi's from Jersey.
Well, no, I don't dislike him. I like Bruce better.
All right. So let me do this right quick because it is the NCAA tournament, and I want you all to enjoy every minute of Westwood One's coverage of the NCAA tournament. It is on SiriusXM. Only one double-digit seed remains, however. Will 12-seed Oregon be this year's Cinderella, or will they turn into a pumpkin versus number 1 seed Virginia tonight at 9:59 Eastern? Oh, for crying out loud. Just start the game at 10 Eastern on Sirius 136 XM 202 and streaming on your phone and at home on SiriusXM connected devices and speakers. Can you believe that goes? The start time tonight is 9:59 Eastern.
Yeah.
What's the point of that? Is that like a TV guide thing?
Probably DVR.
Back in the day, remember TBS when they came along? They started at 05,
Oh, I hate
35.
that.
And it was
Comedy
because
Central does that too.
They wanted the TV guide placement when everyone had a TV guide back then. All right, it is now time for the daily debate.
The brothers Garcia seemingly can't agree on anything.
Everybody knows it's duck season. Rabbit season. Duck season. Rabbit season.
Whether it's food,
Less filling.
tastes great,
Less filling.
tastes great, gambling,
Always bet on black.
I like red.
Black. Red. Black. Red. Black, dummy.
or even social media.
Instagram.
Snapchat.
Instagram.
Snapchat. The same applies to the biggest stories in MMA. Time for MMA Junkie Radio's Daily Debate.
Today's hashtag daily debate for at MMA Junkie Radio. Former UFC welterweight champ Tyron Woodley is booked against fellow ex-champ Robbie Lawler in June at hashtag UFC Minneapolis. Is that the Woodley matchup you wanted? Here are your choices. Yes, Lawler is perfect. No, Santiago Ponzinibbio. No, Wonderboy Trilogy. Or no, other. However, if you give me other, please expand.
Well, I think if you're doing this from the UFC standpoint, well, yeah, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna look at it that way. I'm gonna say yes, it was the right matchup because it's kind of like a filler matchup while everything at the top kind of settles down, right? If Tyron, if his match against Kamaru Usman would have gone a little different, then I think yeah, maybe you could run that one back. But because of the way it went down, I think this makes sense. I think it's good. He's only had one other rematch in his career, right, with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson.
Why would he want it, though? He clowned him in the first round. Like, why does he want to run that one back?
Maybe because of that.
It's
still a tough guy, and he clowned him in the first round. You're right. There's not much to gain because how can you really do it that much better?
Because he had to rematch Wonderboy, which means 2 Wonderboy training camps. That's 2 months and 2 months of obsessing over somebody. Does he really want to do it over a guy that he already beat? I'm almost borrowing lines from what Ben Askren said. I already beat this guy. Why do I want to do it again?
I take it you're not going to agree with me? I'm
not going to agree with you. I'm on the Santiago Ponzinibbio side. Why, you ask? Go ahead and ask.
Why, George?
Because it's a fresh matchup. It hasn't happened. T. Wood's been around the sport for a long time. He's fought a lot of matchups out there. I think Ponzinibbio is streaking. So he's a quality opponent because of that. He's a ranked opponent because of that. He's got a nice, sexy record, just like T. Wood. You look at it and go, oh, wow, okay, I got to see this one. The only drawback is he may play the 8TT card. Oh, he's my teammate. But come on. We all know Tyron owns an affiliate, but he doesn't really go to Coconut Creek much. He's more of a Rufus Sport guy. So I don't know that him and Ponzinibbio really shared the mat all that much.
Okay.
So I would say I'd like to see Ponzinibbio. Either Ponzinibbio is the truth, and he's got to get past the former champ, or the former champ still has gas left in the tank, and he just took out a tough Ponzinibbio. Now he gets that rematch.
I think Ponzinibbio is the truth. However, I think so is Tyron Woodley, and I think Tyron Woodley more than likely would derail that matchup, and I don't want to see that. I want to see Ponzinibbio keep climbing. That's why I like the Robbie Lawler matchup. Even if Tyron loses to Robbie Lawler, well, now they're 1-1.
So you don't like the Ponzi scheme?
I don't like your Ponzi scheme, George.
Okay.
I'm not a big fan of it.
Well, not many people like the Wonder Boy trilogy, and I think Tyron would agree with that one.
Yeah.
They drew
Wonder
once.
Boy would agree.
They drew once, and then he won the other one. But if it's 1-1, then they explore the trilogy. Otherwise, it's really not necessary. And now Wonder Boy, honestly, also coming off a loss, like Tyron, but I believe that's 2 losses in a row. All right, so here's a couple that I wanted to read off from Junkie Nation. Richard Ashton at Richie Ashton 993. He said Masvidal versus Woody for the next title shot would be my choice. Hey, that's not bad. But I'm not hating it.
Masvidal he signed his own contract, I believe. Going after Leon Edwards like that.
Okay.
It may not happen now, it seems like, but to me, the second he clowned him like that, that fight is done.
Nestor Marrero at Nestor L. Marrero. He says Usman rematch. That's what he wants. So they both went with other. This is how it broke down. Actually, 62% agreed with goes. Yes, Lawler is perfect. 26% were on my side. Santiago Ponzinibbio. 5% said the Wonder Boy trilogy. 7% said the other. There you have it. There's today's Daily Debate brought to you by the MMA Junkie Radio team. All right, let's give a quick update here. Purdue now has the lead. The game is in overtime, and with 3 minutes and 10 seconds left, Purdue is up 85-84. However, Tennessee's got the ball.
And if you like the way how we kept you up to date on that news, wait till you hear us on Sportscaster, where we're going to be doing the same thing except for MMA.
Saturday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. Catch us on Sportscaster as we do the broadcasting through our lenses. You can catch it on www.sportscaster.com/MMA Junkie. All right, let's talk about something wacky. We've talked a little bit of baseball and basketball and kind of did our fill of MMA, minus not talking to Tyron Woodley. We'll have to rebook him. How about Jimmy Smith going to Chipotle? And you know I love me some Chipotle.
Oh, man, this is going to
Except when he bit into his burrito, there was no black beans. There was no chicken. Well, maybe there was. I don't know. Or lettuce, hot sauce, sour cream. I don't know. What do you know what he did find? 14 of them big, thick staples.
How does that even happen?
I don't know. I don't know how that.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but he didn't bite into them, right? He saw them.
Do you know the details of that, Gabby?
No, he bit into them.
Oh,
it was like. So it wasn't like 14 separate staples.
Yeah, they were like bunched together.
The bunched together, like when you open up a stapler and you replace the staples. So it was like a bunch of them like that, and he bit into it. He didn't swallow it, but he bit into it, and he was like, this is ridiculous. He was outraged by it, obviously. He wanted to take it up, actually, I think, with like the corporation of Chipotle and stuff. He doesn't want money. He doesn't want to sue. He just wants to make sure this like never happens again to somebody else, basically.
Yeah. How do you think it could happen? Both of you take a guess.
I was just about to ask you guys that. Okay, all I can think of is...
I mean, the food is right in front of them. You see them chopping up the chicken or whatever.
But don't they have it like marinating in something like, say, a bag, right? And let's just say it's sealed with staples, and they opened it up, it fell into the bag of chicken. That's the only thing I can think of, man.
I don't know.
That was a pretty good guess, though, huh?
I was just in Chipotle yesterday, and I can't imagine where those nails came from,
honestly.
Or staples.
They would have had to chop it up, pour it into the container, and then from then, like, you're watching them scoop it up. I don't understand how that could have happened.
Me neither.
Does that ever happen to you?
I bet you those, at some point, they're washed, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, they Chipotle dumps all their food, and they wash, and then after that, I guess they just sit there clean for the morning crew. Now, at some point, if a morning crew gets there, and maybe someone's doing paperwork, like how does that happen? How does any of those utensils, like a pen or an eraser or whatever people still use nowadays? I didn't even know people still use staples.
Could somebody have
those were the thick staples too?
Somebody must have had to do it on purpose, huh?
Could be a disgruntled employee.
I think so. But that's like, are you really getting back at Chipotle?
No, you're fucking some innocent person up.
Yeah.
I think what was funny that RJ and AJ were talking about was RJ was like, well, I would want like a lifetime supply Chipotle card.
I agree.
So I said you would go back to Chipotle and eat there after you had that kind of experience.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people wouldn't.
I'm gonna. In fact, I did. I was there yesterday.
Well, have you ever gotten food poisoning?
It can happen to you.
It takes a while before you trust a place before you go back again.
That's true. Oh my God, goes Purdue's up 91-86.
I would take my time, but I think I would end up back there.
What's a story you can share? Do you have any of those short stories?
Me? Well, me or Goes?
I was just talking to Goes actually.
Well, Gabby doesn't
I don't
know
want to
us
talk to you
well
either.
enough.
It's fine. No, it's good. You guys go on. It's fine.
I've never had. I mean, I've had like a hair in there. I've done.
I think we've all had that. We've all had that.
I've done something like that before, almost to somebody. How much time do we have? Okay. There was a home ec class. You know, I like to get to school early.
Yeah.
I'm always like one of the first ones there in school, and there was nowhere to sit around, so I would go to the home ec class and just chill. And the professor the teacher that was handling the class would always be making food in the morning, so I would always get like nibbles of stuff, right? Well, after a while, she got to know me better, and she would have me help her. And so one day, I remember we were making some kind of like bundt cake or I don't know what. She goes, "Hey, can you do this?" It was actually for like a teacher meeting, right? And she was making bread. It's like, "Oh yeah, I could do it." So I put it all together, and I noticed that my ring was gone off my finger. And the only thing I could think of, it took me like 2 periods to figure it out. I go, I wonder if when I was messing with the dough or whatever, maybe it got stuck in the dough. And I just remember Mom was going to kill me because it was a real expensive ring. And so I thought it's got to be in there. But I didn't want to tell the teacher that I had done that. So I waited till it was my class, my period, which was like 4th period or something. And I saw where it was, and I went back there, and I just tore it to shreds, dude. And I found the ring. The ring was actually in there, but then I left the cake all messed up.
How did nobody see you?
I just snuck back there. It's like a picture. This is the classroom, and then there's like another room, like a science lab, you know, where they keep stuff. It was just back there. So I went back in there and I did that. But anyways, she noticed that something was wrong with it, and she held the whole class. She goes, "I don't know if this was the class before you or you guys, but somebody did this." And the cool thing was, she goes, "I know it can't be him because he's the one that helped me put it together, and he's a good kid," or something like that.
Wow.
So I was like the furthest guy on the suspect list. And after a while, she couldn't keep us any longer. She goes, "Get everybody, get out." But they held us for a while.
Damn.
And it was me.
Did you ever confess that?
Hell no. They didn't even tell any kids because kids will rat you out. But I've never found food or anything in my food.
For the most part, did you get good grades in high school?
No.
I was talking to Gabby.
Oh, I did, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I was like honor student.
Damn. Impressive.
Yeah. I even got, I never got a detention in my life. So
Really?
they did like a special breakfast for everyone in high school. I never got, yeah, I was like the president of my class. I was on varsity basketball, soccer. I was pretty awesome.
Are you going to ask her or you want me to ask her?
She sounds like that girl. Did you ever see the movie Traffic?
Yeah.
No.
Well, that didn't end too well for her, though.
No, but remember when she ended up in jail?
Yeah.
The counselor's interviewing her, and she goes, like, how do you do in school? And she goes, I get a 4.2. I'm on the chess team, volleyball team. I'm vice president of the class. Like, I mean, she had all those accolades that Gabby just
the cruel intentions
announced.
chick. She had
Yeah,
problems
and
too.
then the counselor goes, well, what the hell are you doing here? Like, seriously, you know? But that was pretty impressive, Gabby.
So what happened?
I'm pretty impressive. I don't know what happened. Then I got.
Is that why you're
on this
gabulous?
show. Yes, obviously that's.
Okay.
100%.
You've never had anything in your food, though?
I've had like a bug in my food once from like a diner, and it literally made me nauseous that I have never been able to go back there.
What was the name
like
of
a
it? Can
bug
you say
is
it?
disgusting. I honestly don't. It was a random diner in Jersey like years ago, and I honestly almost vomited. I felt disgusting, like because I ate half of the wrap, and then I found then the bug was in it. So I was like, how many other bugs might I have eaten already? Because half of it was chowed down.
I know
you know.
Everybody thinks I'm a germaphobe, but there are certain meals where if I were to find a bug, I think I'd just work around it.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Well, see,
like what?
I've been to third world countries, man. I've been to places where
but the bug's part of the food,
flies
though.
are just there. I mean, like you just. I mean, I don't know. I remember getting sick once from Taco Bell and not going there for a few years, but I can go back to it. But let me share this story. It didn't involve me. It involved my buddy Boyd. I think Boyd's been on the show before, so you all might know him. Yeah, Green Bay Packers fan. Cool dude. Known him for a long time. He went to, I could say the name, right? Yeah, I could say it. Fuck it.
Yes.
Subway.
Mm-hmm.
And he ordered a sandwich. when he sat down to eat the sandwich, there was a Band-Aid. Ghost is vomiting right now, or close to it. Come on, Ghost. I'm just telling a story here. It's not like the sandwich is in front of you.
That's one of the worst things I could even think of being in my sandwich. I would eat bugs for days before I would eat a Band-Aid.
A Band-Aid,
It went in his mouth?
I believe it went in his mouth, and he like said, "What the hell?" Like chewed it like a piece of gum, and then realized what it was, spit it out. And so Boyd is one of them loud, boisterous guys who definitely let them know that was out of line and that he was pissed. I don't know what the end result was, but I believe there was. I believe he retained an attorney, and they were able to sort it out or whatever. But I'd have to ask Boyd. In fact, I'm going to send him a quick text. Maybe in 2 minutes he replies, did he ever eat at Subway again?
Gross.
Yeah. You never heard that story?
No.
Yeah.
That's so nasty.
Yeah.
Oh. Just the thought of it, dude. I don't know what I would do.
Would you ever go back to Subway?
Probably not.
But at that point, would you ever go back to Togo's or any sandwich shops? Because really, it's not necessarily Subway. It's just it. No, this is like 20, 25 years ago. People may not have been wearing them. Maybe they did. Maybe they just washed them. I don't know. But if you're not going there, are you going to any sandwich shop? This could happen anywhere.
Remember when he sneezed on my burrito?
Who?
You.
I did?
Yeah. You want to hear a story, Gabby?
Always, yes.
All right. Everybody says I'm a germaphobe. And George, one time we had Chipotle. We love Chipotle. And he sneezed on my burrito. And he thought that because I wouldn't eat the burrito, that was part of me being a germaphobe. And I tried to explain to him, even if I sneezed on the burrito, I wouldn't eat it, let alone yours. Why would I do that? So I had to take it back.
Germs are germs.
It's just, I don't know, it's the nose.
So what happened? You didn't eat it?
I didn't eat it. I had to go get another one.
What did you tell him what happened? Did you get a free one or you had to pay for it?
Nah, I didn't. I just bought a new one.
Huh.
Yeah. They're not going to... They'd laugh at that, wouldn't they?
Well,
what's that got to do with us? Your brother sneezed on it?
I don't know. If you're both sitting there,
Can you imagine that?
I think they would just cut him a break. Okay, he's answering me right now. We got time. The show's not over yet.
Oh, God, it's so gross. A Band-Aid?
Let's see what he says. Yeah, a Band-Aid, dude. Gabby didn't seem too interested in the story. Not even like a yuck or a wow or that's boring or you guys are dumb.
You told me you didn't want to talk to me before, so I didn't want to just jump on and say that was disgusting.
You really hold on to stuff, don't you?
I'm a female. This is what we do. We know how to hold on to things and use them at the right time.
Let me say this really clear right now. It was not a Subway he's telling me. So that's good because I would never just want to just bury a place, you know what I mean?
You mean like how we just did?
Yeah, like it was 20 years ago and it's a story. I thought it was. Okay. No, I just corrected myself. It was a place called, I'm not going to even say it, blank sandwich shop.
Oh, I know where that's at.
In Orange, California. Oh, my God. Oh, and he says it was not a Band-Aid, it was a bloody Band-Aid.
Well, we kind of assumed. Who the fuck puts on a Band-Aid for no reason?
Ew. Bloody Band-Aid.
Thanks for clearing that up, boy.
What do you know? A reaction from Gabby. She's alive. I thought she was filing her nails or doing her taxes over there.
No. Bloody Band-Aid? Disgusting. Sorry. That's bad.
Let me ask him how much he got.
Ah, bloody Band-Aid. As opposed to those...
Minute.
Anyway. God, you guys don't understand. I really did almost throw up right now. I can't handle stuff like that.
We'll be back tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific with another edition of MMA Junkie Radio. I don't have anybody lined up just yet, but we'll try and circle back and see if we can get T. Wood on the show. This was 20 years ago. I think I can say it. He got more than 10,000, but less than 20. But he
really?
Apparently did get something for it, yeah.
Oh, wow. From that place?
Yeah.
Huh.
Well, I mean, you were traumatized. You just ran over there and almost threw up.
Oh, yeah. I mean.
For Gabby and Goes and Shango here in the studio, I'm George. Enjoy your evening.
10.
Enjoy March Madness. We'll see you all tomorrow. Go out there, please. Don't just take up room on this planet. Be a champion.